Hello, everybody, and welcome to Racing America's coverage here of the 14th Annual New Year's Bash at Dillon Motor Speedway. And glad to have you folks with us right now watching on the Racing America channel. Alan Dietz here with you, along with Wesley Outland. And Wesley, you see this full pit area here at Dillon Motor Speedway. 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Our coverage will shift to racingamerica.tv. If you haven't ordered your pay-per-view coverage, please do so now. But we're going to have two last chance races, which will determine the starting lineup for the rest of the field after qualifying last night. We'll tell you some about that. And going to be a great day for racing. All the weather we dealt with yesterday is gone, Wesley, and we're about ready to go here in a few hours.
Weather forecast calls a great deal of sunshine today, abundant sunshine, highs in the upper 50s, approaching 60 degrees, with a wind from the west at 10 to 20 miles an hour. You see that restart zone green flag down below the pit retaining wall blowing in the breeze, but man, we ain't got to worry about none of that wet stuff we had yesterday. But obviously, for the powers that be, what a great call to stick with the plan once the weather cleared up. We were done racing last night, Alan, by what, 10:30? 10:30 last night with the entire program, and it was so good to get all the preliminaries in for Saturday to have the main focus in less than 3 hours' time for this New Year's Bash.
Yeah, last night Jason Calhoun won the Challenger race. We had Michael Crafton won the Legends car race, and Brandon Collins was the pure stock winner, the U-car winners.
Yep.
We see Ricky Locklear Sr. He's one of the drivers that'll go in the last chance race later this afternoon. Again, our coverage on racingamerica.tv beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Legends will go for 30 laps in the two last chance races for the street stocks. There'll be 25 laps. Carolina Mini Stock Challenger race for 60 laps. We wind it down with the Street Stock Nationals for 100 laps. And, you know, we've been talking about the last chance race. If you watched our coverage yesterday, you know that we had qualifying, the top 20 qualifiers. They were locked in to the starting lineup. If you're not in the top 20, you're going to have to go through the last chance races. And, Wesley, we've seen drivers after qualifying before get knocked out. We didn't have any issues in tech yesterday, so the top 20 qualifiers got locked in, and nobody was even close to as fast as our pole sitter, Ronnie Bassett Jr., driving the Shane Wilson car number 62, 17.870, 2/10 of a second quicker than Ricky Locklear Jr., the second fast qualifier. And that's an interesting story. Of course, Shane Wilson became known as Brendan Gaughan's crew chief at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in the early 2000s, went to Penske Racing when Brendan Gaughan went to the Cup Series.
Oh, yeah.
There you see that car down in the pit area, and then to Richard Childress Racing. And Ronnie Bassett Jr., very strong in late model stock cars, moved up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series with his brother Dillon Bassett. They had their struggles there. Ronnie returned to the Cars Late Model Stock Tour last year, and now he sits on the pole in this car, and this union has really put together a nice piece that's going to lead the field to the green here later today.
And, you know, Ronnie Bassett Jr., you look at his experience not only in the world of the late model stocks of the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts or the URA Stars. I think he's ran a couple of Cars Tour events in the history as well. But, you know, runs in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, got starts in that. He comes here to his inaugural visit at the New Year's Bash with the Shane Wilson Farms team, the SFW Farm entry, and the video on X that got shared on Racing America and our social platforms. The other day, they literally were going around a little 1/5 mile in the middle of someone's backyard, and that's the car that got the pole.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect.
Yep, they shook it down, I think, just to make sure everything was good with the brakes and the engine before they brought it here to Dillon. Take you through the top 20. These are the drivers that did get locked in qualifying yesterday. And just so you know, you will get to see some practice here on Racing America channel during our coverage here over the next hour or so. As I said, Ricky Locklear Jr., the South Carolina driver, the local driver, former winner of the New Year's Bash, he qualified second. Third, that was Chris Buffon. He's from Massachusetts. Fourth, South Carolina's Austin Samaro. and 5th, Albie Ovid out of New Hampshire. 6th, Quick Alex Weber, making the trip from the Midwest, had a great qualifying effort. Back in 7th was Jeff Sparks from Georgia. Last year's winner from Massachusetts, Tommy O'Sullivan, 8th. Gary Ledbetter, the 5-time winner from Lexington, North Carolina, 9th. And Kyle Lynch, former winner from Virginia, in 10th. We're going to talk about those 2 cars that you just saw as well with those throwback paint schemes on. South Carolina's Max Porter's qualified 11th. Chris Riondo made the 14-hour trip from Vermont. He'll start 12th. Josh Sage will start 13th. He's from Ohio. Joey Pomprion, he will start back in 14th. He's from Michigan. 15th, that will be Adam Gray. 16th, Cody DeMarmels from up around Hickory, North Carolina. 17 is Corey Fanning. Starting 18th will be David Thomas, former from North Carolina, now lives in Texas. And then I think the most special story coming out, at least before we go racing, is row 10, 12-year-old Joshua Way in the Cole Trickle throwback 51 Mellow Yellow car. Will start alongside his dad, Josh Way, 19th and 20th, and that is going to be such a special moment for those 2 drivers from Ohio on those pace laps.
Good to see Josh Way back. Very frustrated last year.
There you see those
There's
cars.
the cars right there. Of course, you got Josh Sage to the far right in that other 25-way salvage entry, but there's that Tim Richmond throwback, the Days of Thunder Mellow Yellow Cole Trickle car with Joshua Way, 12 years old, the youngest driver in the history of the 14 years, counting today at the New Year's Bash. And again, last year, Josh was frustrated, Alan. He said, I'm never coming back to this race. I feel like I got done wrong. But it's an Achilles heel that I think he wants to achieve. And you get angry, but then you let it all subside. You take about a month, you let it cool off, you go through the race season, and you come back looking for that big win.
And right before we went on air, they had the drivers' meeting, and track owner Ron Barfield, former driver himself, laid it out to these drivers that last year was not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
There were a lot of wrecks, a lot of aggressive driving, and he said, you know what, I'm going out on a limb, and we're going to let all of you guys start. So we're going to start 36 or 37 cars.
Amazing.
Now, granted, we're still going to run the last chance races, and that basically will determine the rest of the starting lineup from 21st on back. But he said, we didn't need to do this, and I think moving forward, a lot's going to depend on what happens in this year's race and how everything shakes out after that aggressiveness that we saw last year.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, there were times, Alan, where we would literally just have crash after crash, and it's like, there's no need for this. There's 60, 70 laps to go. We had 5 or 6 cautions within the first 30 laps of this event. There's one of the greats, of course, out of Moxville, North Carolina, A.J. Sanders. The Carolina Mini Stock Challenge cars will also be on the card today for 60 laps here on the Racing America channel. RacingAmerica.tv to order the pay-per-view coverage. We're live just before 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And obviously, Alan, as we mentioned here, you know, every car is going to get a chance to start this race. We had this discussion yesterday, wondering will that happen, because usually in the years past, depending on provisionals, it's 32 to 36 cars.
Yeah.
So for everyone to have a shot, and mind you, Superman Dave Hutchinson, I heard, is supposed to be here today. So that might make 38 cars starting this race.
Because he had a guaranteed spot based on the race last year. We're going to take a break. Hopefully we'll have some practice when we come back. I know that everybody's getting in position now. The officials, the flagmen are all in place. We'll have some practice for you, and we'll also tell you about those qualifiers that are going to be in the last chance race. So stick with us. We'll be back for more from Dillon Motor Speedway after this.
Hey, I'm Dillon Hart Jr. You're watching Racing America.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety, providing the most advanced driver safety products to NASCAR, IndyCar, sprint cars, and sports cars drivers. From grassroots to professional racers, HMS Motorsport has over 25 years' experience outfitting drivers with the best gear on the market. Equipped with first-hand product knowledge, our experts are ready to help you select the best harness belts, seats, head restraints, helmets, and racing attire for your type of racing. HMS is even the exclusive importer for Schroed belts, Schubert helmets, and Bolero base layers. Visit one of our stores in Mooresville, North Carolina, or Danvers, Massachusetts, or check us online at hmsmotorsport.com, where you can learn the details of our products and order online. Safety starts here.
Protect your melon, buckle up. Speedfest returns to Chris Motorsports Park and Watermelon Capital Speedway. Friday and Saturday, January 19th and 20th. See the Jake Zeri All-Stars Tour presented by Chevrolet Performance, Legends, Bandoleros, and Ross Chastain racing with the super late models. On-track autographs are Saturday morning at 11:30 with feature action Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. For discounted tickets and info, check out trackenterprises.com and chrismotorsportspark.com. Protect your melon, buckle up. Speedfest, January 19th and 20th at Watermelon Capital Speedway.
5-star bodies, the most advanced bodies on the market, aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance, the highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. Faster, lighter, stronger, better. 5-star.
It's gotta be the wildest ride in the world.
We've not had anything like that before. The guys that run with me are coming to run, and we are all very thankful for that.
Back at Dillon Motor Speedway in Dillon, South Carolina for Racing America's coverage of the 14th Annual New Year's Bash. Our coverage brought to you by HMS Motorsport. I am Alan Dietz along with Wesley Outland, and we'd especially like to thank our viewers watching on LG TV. I have an LG TV back at home that I get to watch Racing America channel, and for you folks watching on LG and watching in general, we appreciate you watching. Hope if you haven't already purchased your pay-per-view coverage, go to racingamerica.tv, racingamerica.tv. You get the bundle and see last night's action or just purchase a single-day pass. And remember, if you're a subscriber to Racing America, you do have savings. So be sure to subscribe to Racing America channel. In 2 weeks, or racingamerica.tv, I should say, in 2 weeks, we'll be at Watermelon Capital Speedway in Cordele, Georgia for the ASA Southern Super Series and CRA Super Series Super Late Models at Speedfest. Ross Chastain going to be in action. To the best of our knowledge, we think that'll be the first time Ross Chastain has ever ran in a super late model. We know he's ran a limited late model suit, but think that he will be making his first start in super late model as we see some of the street stocks lining up right now as they get ready to go out for practice. And that's going to be exciting. We'll also, in about a month, we'll be back in this area of South Carolina, Lakeview Motor Speedway in Lakeview, South Carolina, for the I-95 south of the border Cash Money Showdown, Dirt Car Sportsman Modifieds, late models, and stock V8. That's all if you're a subscriber. So be sure to check that out because we're going to have a lot of great racing here in 2024. Right now, see some cars coming across the track, moving right now. And Wesley, we talked about, before we went to break, the last chance races, which will start around 2 o'clock Eastern time when our coverage goes to racingamerica.tv. 2 last chance races, top 3 automatically will qualify through their finishing positions. But Ron Barfield, the owner and promoter here, is elected to let everyone start. So these will be more or less heat races to determine where these drivers in these races will start. Adam Cartwright, he will lead the field down for last chance race number 1. He's from Roscoe, Illinois. And Mike Cooper from Plymouth, North Carolina, he'll lead the field down for heat number 2.
Got some really good talented drivers right there. Obviously, we know a lot about Super Coupe Mike Cooper from Plymouth, North Carolina. East Carolina Motor Speedway, now dormant in the Carolinas, in Robertsonville, Southern National, Coastal Plains, the championships, the wins that he's accrued in an over 30-year career, and still rocking and rolling, not only with the car, but his hair the way it is, with that perm hair. And obviously, Mike Cooper is ready to see if he can add on to that impressive list of resume credentials in short track racing, Alan, a New Year's bash. And the legend cars, it looks like they're going to be those first machines on the racetrack for practice this Sunday afternoon.
And now we're also going out over the grandstands here at Dillon Motor Speedway as the cars get ready to take to the racetrack. We're glad you folks are here with us for practice this morning at Dillon Motor Speedway. Alan Dietz here along with Wesley Allen. Of course, throughout the afternoon, we'll also have Tweet Your Seat, or I don't know what you call it now, Post Your Seat, now that Twitter is known as X. Throughout the weekend, continue to use hashtag New Year's Bash. New Year's Bash. Let us know where you are and what you're watching from and who you're pulling for. Now, we talked about Adam Cartwright and Mike Cooper. Also going in the last chance race, Jeff Melton, former New Year's Bash winner, Ricky Locklear Sr., Boo Carlisle, great qualifying effort for him, trying to make his first New Year's Bash. Robert Filipiak, Sean Swallow, Brian Brown and Josh Lundy, Luther Johnson, Aaron Clemens, Steve Worthington, Adam Rowe, Shane Gendron, Rob Sullivan, and Darren Wilson. All those drivers will be in the last chance races here a little bit later this afternoon.
I am digging those checkered flag pants beside Chris Riondo, the lady wearing them. There's the dogs coming out race day. Beautiful Sunday here.
Who let the dog out?
Yeah, here in Dillon. There's our cameraman up top side, Zach Evans and crew. Ron Barfield giving a little final instructions to some of the spotters for the legends. And somewhere in that glass booth is where we are.
Yeah, well, we're just off to the right there, I think, and that's for the best that nobody sees us right now for sure. But we're glad that you're joining us here on Racing America Channel. And, of course, you know, just as we say that, time for Wesley to start mugging for the camera to our left. And what is that?
There you go, Alan, right there. Big brother.
You see my face? Sorry if you can. Hey, I also want to tell you, the bull ring on Racing America is going to be coming back in February. Myself, as well as Jess Ballard, will be bringing you the news and folks from the grassroots ranks, as well as the NASCAR Cup Series. And we're also going to have bull ring hot laps. We did our first one this past week with Ron Barfield, and we're going to do that. And that just gives us an occasion as we see those kids down there. Hey, kids, how are y'all doing? Take it easy down there with that football, okay? But
go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, that's right. We're going to have bull ring hot laps throughout the year, and that'll be basically, you know, we do the bull ring Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, but the bull ring hot laps, when there's something going on, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever it is, we can plug in, talk to promoters, talk to racers, talk to the newsmakers as it happens, and not be constrained to, you know, just doing it Wednesday nights at 7 p.m.
That's a good idea. I mean, like say, for instance, in the summer, the Slinger Nationals in Wisconsin that's on Racing America. You could have a special bull ring hot lap session an hour or the morning before the race. So what a way to promote it, no doubt.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and got a lot of great programming that you'll see right here on Racing America Channel as well. Exclusive NASCAR Cup Series content, the bull ring, live racing, as you see here at Dillon Motor Speedway right now as practice gets ready to begin. So be sure to spread the word out about Racing America Channel, and it's going to be offered on even more platforms, and we're very excited about that. You'll see those announcements coming in the next couple of weeks, and looking forward to that for sure. So glad that you're watching here with us on Racing America Channel.
I'm telling you, Alan, streaming platforms is taking over. I mean, you're seeing it literally. I mean, I was talking with somebody about this the other day, just verbatimly at the holidays for dinner, and we were discussing streaming. And when you go home or when you're in your car, do you really listen to the radio anymore? Do you really watch your local television anymore? Right. 9 times out of 10, you're tuned into streaming. And if you're a fan of motorsports, you definitely are tuned in at Racing America.
Well, I appreciate that, and yeah, we definitely have enjoyed the Racing America channel, and like I said, spread the word that you can watch a lot of this great programming. And I love these channels. As I said, I have an LG TV, and you know, these are free channels on a variety of platforms that you can check out and see some exclusive content, and we're glad to have it here for you. Also this morning, a live look in here from Dillon Motor Speedway, as it looks like the Legends cars are going to be the first ones to go out. And, you know, last night we ran 75 laps with the Challengers, no caution, good race. Ran 30 laps with the U cars, no cautions, great race. And I think we had, 3 or 4 cautions in the Legends car race, but that was some race last night, and you really and honestly can't go as fast but as close as these Legends cars were and not have a little bit of contact. Plus, this racetrack was cold. It was a little bit damp. These tires were cold, and it made for a handful for these drivers.
When we were on the air last night here from Dillon, the top of the racing surfaces, and it's nothing that nobody could help. We did our best to do the track drive. It was from all the 3 to 4 inches of rain that fell in less than a 12 to 14-hour period in the PD region of South Carolina from Friday night into Saturday. And there were drivers talking about it. We can't drive the top. We know there's weepers up there. Well, if you're looking now as the Legends are getting assembled and ready to come out for their first practice session on this Sunday afternoon, the track is dry, Alan Dietz. It's dry from top to bottom. They've been out here working on the track even since last night. We're going to probably see every bit of this racing surface used from top to bottom today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you know, we've talked about it before, but this racetrack is very tough. It was graded out by Harold Brasington, who built Darlington Raceway and who built Rockingham. He graded this racetrack out back in the 1960s, and it's really like a little Darlington. When you look at an aerial view of Dillon Motor Speedway, this track is egg-shaped like Darlington. It's banked 14 degrees as you see that banking, and the last time it was paved was when it was originally paved back in 2007. So, you know, we're pushing 15 years on this pavement now. Everybody knows down in this part of the country, the sand hills, you know, this is very tough on tires, which makes, to me, for great racing.
Yes.
But we see these cars get down on the apron. We didn't see it a lot last night in qualifying, but that apron down there below that yellow line, that's not out of bounds. You're going to see drivers go down there. And some cars, we've even seen Carolina mini stocks before. I've seen some of those drivers get 4 tires beneath that yellow line and get it hooked up down there. So you're going to see that apron come into play this afternoon at Dillon Motor Speedway. And the other thing I love, again, this track was built, you know, and opened back in 1964 as Dillon County Racetrack and operated off and on until 1980. This is the footprint of the original racetrack, but other than the grandstands and the front straightaway wall, everything else here was new. It was basically built as a new racetrack, and the best thing I think they did here is they dug out that infield so you can sit on the bottom row here at Dillon Motor Speedway and have no obstruction and see the back straightaway. And anytime a racetrack is built now, a new racetrack, there's no excuse not to have that infield dug out. You know, a lot of the tracks that were built back in the 60s and 70s and 80s that operated, they never dreamed that there would be tractor-trailer haulers in the infields at these racetracks. There's no excuse for new racetracks to have that issue, though.
Amen, brother. I agree. And the pace car obviously going to come out here, make one more quick run around the track to make sure everything's good and clear it off on the speedway before we send out the Legends. Everybody lined up at trackside, Alan, not only in the grandstand, But trackside parking always very big here at Dillon Motor Speedway as well.
Yeah, they built that trackside parking up over in turns 1 and 2 over there, and that's a great view. And from our turn 1 camera, you're going to see why the fans like to park over there, because you talk about action coming live and in your face down there.
Oh, yeah.
It will. And this camera that we're looking at right now is going to come right at you as these Legends cars roll out onto the speedway here for a round of practice this morning. Of course, they've got another 30-lap main event coming up.
And what a show the Legends put on last night. I mean, they had 2 or 3, 4 cautions that we had mentioned. Last night, feature races, a 75-lap green flag challenger event. Jason Calhoun picking up the victory. Obviously, first time ever in the history of the challengers at the New Year's Bash that they were able to go caution-free. The U cars went yellow flag. Brandon Collins went on to win that race, caution-free event. And then, of course, we got 105 laps into the program, Alan, before the first yellow flag was dispersed. And that was, of course, thrown by Carl Goodyear when we had an accident in the Legends feature in turn number 3. But what a great day of racing. I think a lot of people were just optimistic, Alan, that they wanted to get the program in yesterday so we could able to reach this line. And I got a word of advice for our Racing America audience of street stock drivers, if they're watching right now. If you're in those B mains, you know you're locked in the show, Alan. Don't be aggressive. Don't do anything to mess your car up to take your chances out of this race. You're getting paid a little bit of money. It's a glorified sparring session, if you will. Heat race, use it. And I would be surprised that if you ask those 20 drivers that are locked in the show already what they wouldn't do to be able to make another practice session like they will in the heat later this afternoon.
Now, remember, Tommy O'Sullivan came out of one of those last chance races last year to win. He got locked in yesterday in qualifying. That was the 9-car Nate Trado we were taking a look at. Now this the car number 93 of Connor Youngchuck. And glad to see Connor Youngchuck out there. If you watched our coverage last night, you know he spun out of turn 4 on the final lap and actually got into the inside wall, and they had to work and burn the midnight oil to get that car repaired to go racing tonight or today.
Yeah, the work that went behind getting Nate Trado. I know Tomlin scoring still shows him as Jake Trado, but it is Nate Trado. I promise we'll try to get that fixed before they have the feature event today, but what a field of legends. And Alan, we kind of talked about this. Maybe we'll get more cars to come in today. Usually that does happen.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of new ones.
Right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I like I said, and I'll stand behind this. I think it's quality versus quantity for sure. The names that are here, anybody could win. There's the number 40 Machina Thomas, runner-up last night. Obviously, he's going to get a shot at it again.
And I think the races that we saw last night look a lot different than what we see today because of the track conditions, because we're probably going to be racing these events in the afternoon. The temperatures are still a little bit chilly, but I think that these races will look different than what we saw last night as we see the 42 of Alex Reeling out there working through turns 1 and 2. And if you've never watched a race here at Dillon Motor Speedway, I will go ahead and tell you the trouble spot is turn 4, right there, coming out of turn number 4. And you see those cars come down the front straightaway. Basically, when you look at the groove, and it's like this at Darlington through what's now turns 1 and 2, you see the black line there, that's the groove that these cars are working, but it literally goes straight up into the outside wall. The groove goes straight into the wall, and you really got to take an extra crank of that steering wheel to get that car to turn down out of the corner.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And obviously, Alan, we kind of hinted on this. The way that you drive at night here at Dillon or any racetrack in the world is different than you drive in daytime conditions, for sure.
Right now, the fastest car on the racetrack is actually the car number 9, Michael Crafton. That's the car that won here last night. Continue to watch Tyler Ledbetter as he circulates around the racetrack. He's 9th quick in this car number 64. And this is about half of the Legends cars. The other half lined up down on pit lane and they'll be going out. If you're just tuning in, we're glad to have you here watching on Racing America channel, especially you folks watching on LG TVs. Remember, our coverage shifts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to RacingAmerica.tv. If you haven't ordered your pay-per-view coverage, do so now. You'll see these Legends cars race for 30 laps, a couple of B-mains for the street stocks. They'll be 25 laps. Carolina Mini Stock Challenge, 4 cylinders for 60 laps. And the Street Stock Nationals, 100 laps, $2,500 to win.
And coming up today, close to 38, could be 38, right? 38 street stocks roaring around the 410th mile for the 14th commencement of the New Year's Bash. It's going to be exciting.
Now, one of my favorite parts of the New Year's Bash weekend, and, you know, I know you announced here at Dillon Motor Speedway outside of the New Year's Bash, so you've had conversations with Ron Barfield, but you will be introducing us to this starting lineup before they go green today, and we get to see them and get to know a little bit more about them.
Yes, and we got 38 drivers, it looks like, so obviously we're going to make driver intros be really, really quick, but that's definitely one of the hypes and excitement that leads up to the race. The cars will come out. I normally call it the calm before the storm, Alan. The cars will come out, they'll stop, they try to get them in their correct order, 19 rows, and then we'll introduce them from the back to the front.
Folks will get to see your handsome beard.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've started growing one. Have you ever had one?
I don't want to talk about my beard. Mark Keeler, my wife and I never dress up for Halloween, but being a Chiefs fan, it was easy with a Tyler or a Travis Kelce jersey to, you know.
And your wife dressed up like Taylor Swift?
Yep, she got a blonde wig, and we figured we had to do it this Halloween because based on her past, Taylor's past,
they might be broken up next year.
Yeah, she'll be writing a song about Travis Kelce next year.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Only on Racing America, right?
That's right. There you see the 34 car. I believe that's David Rogers in that 34 car.
Yep.
And the 7 Rodney Dallas Jr.
Got a couple of 34s out here. One of the winners that won the preliminary last year, Josh Spees, in the black 34. And then, of course, you've also got David Rogers popping in, making a pass on that 68 machine of Joshua Hopkins Jr. Good field of legends here. You know, obviously in years past we ran 2 features, Alan, because of the big car count. A little off this year. But as I said, it's quality versus quantity. And some great names that are in this area, in the PD region, in the Southeast, being represented for the U.S. Legends car at Dillon. Look at these guys. Looks like they're racing each other in a practice session.
Now that was
Josh Spees.
Yeah, this is the 34 David Rogers.
2 of them right there. There you see him right there.
Yeah.
There's Josh Spees. There's his David Rogers, as we mentioned. The 48 behind him, that's, of course, the driver of Mason Weekly.
And you mentioned a lot of these cars, well, just in general, we talked a little bit about it last night, and I think it's worth hitting up, but the Legends cars in the Eastern Carolinas have really blown up here in the last couple of years. A lot of these cars race at Carteret County, Florence Motor Speedway here at Dillon, Wake County Speedway, and you know, the original concept with the Legends in the early 90s is you could race these cars on dirt or pavement.
Yep.
And the dirt scene, when they reintroduced these cars at Rockfish Speedway and Fayetteville Motor Speedway up in North Carolina on the dirt, it seemed like the whole thing just exploded again on pavement and dirt.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. Right now, looking at Crafton, trying to continue his momentum after winning last night. Michael Crafton, Josh Spees, Rodney Dallas Jr. Those are your top 3 on the practice board right now. And, you know, obviously the quote is practice makes perfect, but definitely practice, you want to take advantage of this because this is really going to set your car up, I believe, for a totally different race, Alan, than what we saw yesterday.
And I can't speak from a driver's standpoint of what it's like to drive a late model or a street stock or anything like that, but I have driven a Legends car before, and the thing about these Legends cars, they've got a lot of speed, they got a lot of power, but the amount of torque these cars have, I mean, when you hit the gas, you better be strapped in tight to that seat and holding on to that steering wheel because they go. They're going
to go. You're exactly right. And obviously just trying to adapt to a racetrack like Dillon Motor Speedway. Watching them, and I've always said this on Racing America and other streams I've covered, TV does no justice because it's banked here at Dillon, Allen. It might not show it here in the broadcast with the video camera views unless you catch them coming off that corner.
I think this camera down here in turn one, you get a little better idea of what that banking's like down there. And I have to say that is one of my favorite camera views of anywhere that we go in the country. It and turn 3, we've got a turn 3 camera at South Alabama Speedway we use for the Rattler, and those are just, and the thing that's great about both of them is they get the cars coming out of the corner and they're coming right to you, and you get to see the drivers working those wheels coming out of the corner, working steering wheels going into the corner, and that's one of the things I really like.
We were referring yesterday to some awesome scenery views, and one of those was Shady Bowl Speedway, also up in Ohio. And if you're ever been to Myrtle Beach Speedway and you look at the angle of the racetrack, Allen, and we've said this before, we've been there before, turn 1 at Shady Bowl looks so picturesque of what the dormant Myrtle Beach Speedway used to be as well.
Yep, no doubt. Well, the Legends cars are heading back to their pit area outside. Street stocks are lined up. We're going to take a break, and we'll have street stock practice for you here from Dillon when we come back.
I'm Ty Majeski, and you're watching Racing America.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety, providing the most advanced driver safety products to NASCAR, IndyCar, sprint cars, and sports cars drivers. From grassroots to professional racers, HMS Motorsport has over 25 years' experience outfitting drivers with the best gear on the market. Equipped with first-hand product knowledge, our experts are ready to help you select the best harness belts, seats, head restraints, helmets, and racing attire for your type of racing. HMS is even the exclusive importer for Schroed belts, Schubert helmets, and Valero base layers. Visit one of our stores in Mooresville, North Carolina, or Danvers, Massachusetts. Or check us online at hmsmotorsport.com, where you can learn the details of our products and order online. Safety starts here.
Be at Lakeview Motor Speedway, Sunday afternoon, February 4th, for the I-95 south of the border Cash Money Showdown. See the best sportsman modifieds from the Northeast as they head south for money and glory. Late models and stock V8 will also be in action for their first taste of the high banks in 2024. It's the I-95 south of the border Cash Money Showdown, February 4th at Lakeview Motor Speedway, and it's only on Racing America.
That's gotta be the wildest ride in the world.
Perna
Siglio.
Perna Siglio.
There you go.
That was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. You're a race car driver, without a doubt.
SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel are your all-inclusive motorsports warehouses with more than 450 product lines. They have everything to put you in victory lane, from professional racing to street performance. SRI and Stock Car Steel have you covered with leading brands as well as a large selection of steel, aluminum, and plastics. With locations in North Carolina and Indiana, access has never been easier. SRI has the world's largest inventory of used parts. SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, your one-stop shop for everything racing.
Glad to have you back with us here at Dillon Motor Speedway in Dillon, South Carolina for Racing America's coverage of the 14th Annual New Year's Bash, brought to you by our friends at HMS Motorsport. Remember, our coverage shifts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to RacingAmerica.tv by your package today, so you can watch that broadcast at 2 o'clock as you've not missed a thing. The street stocks are out on track next, and that is the guy right there. Not a familiar car, not a familiar number, but Gary Ledbetter Jr. Nobody knows this track better or knows this race better. He's a 5-time winner of the New Year's Bash, and he's going to be in that 4 car this year.
Winner last year from Wilbraham, Mass. was able to put the machine in victory lane after being that B-main winner, the craziness that went on. And I encourage you, if you're watching on the channels for the Racing America streaming partners, become a subscriber. Just Alan Dietz to get a little scenario of today's race. Look at the highlights of last year.
Yeah, and you can check that out on, whoa, as Luther Johnson goes around.
Hard in the wall.
And you know what? I think that could be
a sign of things to come today?
I think it's because of cold tires and a cold racetrack. You noticed that Gary Ledbetter Jr. and some of the more experienced drivers were not picking up the speed nearly as quickly, and it looked like Luther Johnson, he was definitely not at full speed, and that car whipped right around and put him into the outside wall, and they're going to have some work to do before the last chance races today.
Luther Johnson from Conway, South Carolina, Racing America. In your pre-race show, we've got calamity already, and here's a replay, Alan.
It just the rear end totally kicked out going down into turn number 1.
He tried to save it, but when you lock up those bias ply tires, you ain't going nowhere.
Watch this. And there it goes.
Wow. That was a hit.
That was a good hit. It was harder than it looked initially. And again, I just think there's not a lot of grip right now. You know, last night in qualifying, they took, 3 laps, and there was a dead lap in there, and every single driver was faster on that final lap when they had the most heat in their tires.
One of the South Carolina drivers, Bill Flynn, reaching in there in the passenger side of the cockpit, making sure, most importantly, driver okay. That's a good sign. He's moving around in the car. Bill Flynn is now moving to the driver's side to kind of probably get the window net down to make sure he is okay. That's one sign that you see from NASCAR to grassroots is if there is an accident, Alan, put that window net down. Let the safety crew, let the tower know that you're okay. He might have got, just bedazzled from the contact and basically just wasn't thinking, but obviously Bill Flynn had to help him get that lodged window net down, and you see him now walking around surveying the damage. Can he get that car fixed? Does he have enough time to get it ready for a B-main?
Well, the first thing he did was, get out and look at that left front there, and now they're going to take it back to the pit. That's a great-looking car, Petty Blue 05, and again, the B-mains will be shortly after 2 p.m. Eastern time when our coverage goes to racingamerica.tv. And, they're going to be very gentle with that hood and taking that car off the racetrack to ensure it doesn't create more damage. I've been at racetracks before where record crews that were not nearly as efficient as they are here at Dillon have absolutely torn cars up worse than the accident did.
Can we give a shout out to Charles Myers, LaVon Vance?
Absolutely.
The Dragway at Coastal Plains Park. They are getting ready for Test and Tune, Alan, but they're watching Racing America.
Well, we appreciate that, and a couple of other folks that have commented using hashtag New Year's Bash. Want to mention, of course, Road Racing. They have been great. The folks out of Michigan watch the New Year's Bash on Racing America. They say, again, hashtag New Year's Bash. Let us know where you are and where you're watching from. And this was such a nice note that I just got from Ross Boo Boo Dalton, who was in the Challenger race last night. Thank you for the kind words on the broadcast last night. I really appreciate that. Well deserved. Good little race car driver, and he was here as part of the Challenger action yesterday, and
finished 3rd or 4th, right?
Yeah, we enjoyed seeing that race, and Boo Boo, I know he'll have a big year coming up in 2024. Races some limited, races some late model stock every now and again.
And Alan, you were right last night. We were just talking about it. You talk about drivers that are so talented that could move into the cusp of that next level, but they just got to have the sponsorship. They got to have the funding. If we could literally find a way to get back into that day with our sport again, not saying it's going to happen, I wish is a big thing, knock on wood. But if we could, no doubt about it, Ross Dalton would be one of those drivers that could you could put him in a car, he could get it done.
And, you know, I tell folks all the time, whether it's track promoters or drivers or whoever it is, use Racing America, use these streaming platforms whenever you go to your sponsors, and you know, we have packets that we can give you if you just email me that shows some demographics, shows some statistics and stuff. We want people to get sponsorship from utilizing our Racing America coverage. As we see that damage there on the left front of Luther Johnson's car, they'll take it back to the pit area, and hopefully, I think he'll be back out.
I was going to ask you that question. Maybe some toe-in damage on the left front, maybe. You know, have to put a new tire on it. But
yeah, you got to hope that he didn't, you know, break any major suspension components up there in the left front. But they've got some time that they can, you know, work on it and try to get it repaired, and hopefully he can make it back out for the last chance race.
We're live again on the 24/7 streaming channel for Racing America. Also welcome our LG channel viewers. And again, at this opportunity to check out Dillon Motor Speedway, available to Alan, free. Tubi, Fubu, LG TVs, Vizio, Zumo, TCL, and more. And you said that them platforms are going to continue to expand for Racing America coverage.
Yeah, we got some great ones coming on board. As we see Ricky Locklear Sr. there. As you come into the racetrack, they've got these New Year's Bash T-shirts that they're selling, and they sell out every year.
Oh,
and
yes.
I got to tell you, Wesley, and I'm not just blowing smoke, these may be the best-looking ones that they've had.
It's a really nice design. I've already got my T-shirt, as a matter of fact. That was Tesla and Carson Mullins down there doing the T-shirt sales. And, you know, we always say this, it takes a village. It takes a team. And it takes an amazing team annually, Alan Dietz, not just on Racing America, MAV TV over the years for the stuff that we've done to do the broadcast side of things, but the entire staff to put on a massive event of this undertaking in the winter, mind you. It just shows the true fabric of our sport.
There you see that white 14 of Darren Wilson, and if you watched our coverage last night, you remember during qualifying, he got loose coming out of turn 4 and zigged and zagged and just about had it saved 2 or 3 times, and finally spun it around, made a little bit of contact with the outside wall, but they've got him back out. And then there's the story, that mellow yellow 51 car, 12-year-old Joshua Way, going to be starting in row 10, already locked in beside his dad, Josh Way, who came within a lap of winning this race here last year before getting taken out in an accident on the final lap.
Adam Cartwright from Rockford, Illinois, of course, the dormant Rockford Motor Speedway where he's ran many times. That track is now gone in the annals of racing history, and obviously good to see him here today.
He's on the pole for his B main. Here's Adam Cartwright in that car number 42.
Alan, what do you think that young man, 12 years old, is feeling?
I think he's accomplished his goal, and I think that was to make it in on time. And I think it was just to make the field. I think exceeding the goal probably to get locked in on time. Corey Fanning there in the 11 car, another one of the cars from New England. 2023 track champion at Thompson Speedway. He's from Mapleville, Rhode Island. And then that 50 car, Ricky Locklear Sr. I'm 45 years old, and I'm pretty sure that Ricky has raced my entire life, because I've seen him. My earliest memories of Ricky Locklear were driving a white 56 on the dirt over at Lakeview, and he had already been racing at Hartsville Darlington before that track closed. Raced at Timminsville on the dirt, what's now Florence, and then, you know, here at Dillon, here at Florence, and at Myrtle Beach. There's Robert Filipiak in the 18 car, definitely in a Ford product, always in a Ford product for that driver from North Charleston, South Carolina.
And he had a guaranteed provisional after that phenomenal show that him and Superman Dave Hutchinson, which we're being told Superman Dave is supposed to be here today. And if he does, Alan, that makes 38 cars for the New Year's Bash this afternoon.
There's Josh Way in the 25. We just spoke of his son, Joshua Way. And every year we bring it up, but I think it's worth bringing up. Those cars are hand-painted.
Oh, yes.
the days of hand-painted race cars were going a long time ago. Now they're not. A lot of them are just one decal because they're a wrap. And he led this race, taking the white flag, and he and Tommy O'Sullivan made contact at turn 2. That sent him up the racetrack. Then they went 3 wide down into turn 3, and that just didn't work out. And he ended up being taken out in that accident.
And that was, of course, the T.G. Shepard Folgers throwback to the late Tim Richmond, his car.
And
there's Days of Thunder.
Yep, that's Joshua Way's son that we were speaking of in that car number 51. And he stayed right there in front of Adam Cartwright in that 42 and actually opened it up just a little bit.
Sure did. Watching now the 97, the 11, Fanning. Trying to get around him was that 97 car. We're actually getting around him.
Yeah.
That's Adam Gray. Adam Gray from Granby, Mass.
Yep, former track champion at Stafford Speedway. And Corey Fanning in that 11 car. His first time here, I believe. And they've got that car going a good bit better than they did yesterday. I think, you know what? That's actually Josh Lundy in that 11 car.
That's Lundy
from Rockford, Illinois. There's 2.
No, it's Fanning. You're right.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Never second guess yourself.
Okay.
You're right. You got it.
Now I got to see Josh Lundy. Josh Lundy drives a purple 11 too, and they're from totally different parts of the country. This 11 from Rhode Island, and the other purple 11 from Illinois.
Yeah, Corey Fanning from Burrville, Rhode Island, Thompson Speedway track champion, 5-time Seekonk Speedway track champion, many wins title, 2nd year here at the New Year's Bash. And he is racing hard alongside that 97 machine, and that's that driver, of course, of Adam Gray from Granby, Mass.
You know, speaking of Thompson Speedway, we'll be back at Thompson Speedway this year for coverage of the Icebreaker and World Series, and happy to let folks know that those races this year will be available for subscribers. They will not be pay-per-views, and we look forward to going back to Thompson. Tom Mayberry, Chris Michaud, going to have more races at Thompson this year. Some Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday night shows, and they're keeping that place alive. It's hanging on by a thread, but thankfully Tom and Chris are trying to do their part.
And midweek racing works if you handle it right, Alan Peets. We've seen this. I don't know why primarily in the South it seems like you got to be a Friday or Saturday or Sunday afternoon for special events track. But if you can play your cards right and put on good shows, quick ran shows, you can make midweek events happen.
Ohio's Josh Sage in the 25 and Georgia's Boo Carlisle in that 00. And Boo Carlisle, of course, his vlogs covering this weekend's action as well as the Cars Tour throughout the season. And Boo, his best qualifying effort ever here for a New Year's Bash. I think he qualified 25th. He's never made a New Year's Bash before, and if he can survive the B-Mains later this afternoon, he'll make his first New Year's Bash.
So here's what happened. Me and Boo were chatting it up after qualifying. He thought that there was going to be like a Euro qualifying session, but that wasn't the case. He got a little confused. He thought that his last lap would have counted, but it didn't because you only got the dead in 2 laps. Right. Little miscommunication there. But once he figured that out, he said, we got to quickly go back to changing things on handling to now go into race mode. And now you're going to be in the race this afternoon, regardless of what happens in the B-Main. Obviously, it's heat races. It's your last chance to get in. Not now. Advance your position for a better starting spot, yes. But every one of these drivers you're going to see on Race in America just after 2 p.m. Eastern when we get the 14th annual race underway. And we're going 3 wide in practice.
Max Porter in that 96 car got out of the gas, looks like, and kind of caught those guys off guard. He's locked in on time. You've got Steve Worthington there in the 13, Corey Fanning, both of those cars in the last chance race, and in front of them the 67 of Aaron Clemens, who has raced here for a number of years. He's made the New Year's Bash, got in a hard wreck here last year on the front straightaway. He really struggled in qualifying yesterday, but I don't know what the issue was. They've got that 67 car running a lot better. And there's Jeff Melton in the Brewster Baker throwback paint scheme.
The six-pack car, the 49 from Concord, the only driver besides five-time winner. Of course, Gary Ledbetter Jr., who is multi-winners of this race, Alan. That's it.
And Jeff Melton is going to have to go into B-main as well. And last year, there was just a legendary battle between him and Gary Ledbetter. And they actually got together going down into turn number 1 and took them both out of contention for the win.
And, Alan, how about this? Top of the board, if you're looking on the scoring ticker on our streaming coverage of the final practice on Racing America.
Team cars.
Albie Ovitt, winner of the Fall Spectacular, driving that car for Gary Ledbetter Sr. And if there's any year that Albie Ovitt could win the biggest race of his career of street stocks, it could happen today. He's at the top of the board in practice.
Now, this is the 4VT. This is Chris Riondo making the trip down from Ascutney, Vermont.
White Mountain Riverside, second place in points, his 4th year now at the New Year's Bash. He loves Vermont, living up in the Northeast, but he's planning to move to the Carolinas, Alan.
Well, that's good because he's got a good street stock scene down here, and one of the drivers that has been at the forefront of that scene over the last decade, Ricky Locklear Jr. in that car number 12. He'll start on the outside pole, and he led pretty much the entire first half last year, and right after halfway, got involved in an accident, got spun, came back to the front, and then he got caught up in that wreck there at the end of the race coming to the checkered flag. And he's won this race as well, won it back in 2016, ran the Challenger race last night.
Melton battling with that 0-4 of Sean Swallow. Sean Swallow also from Ascutney, Vermont.
You know, and that's the thing, when you go through this list, you know, just looking down the list here of states, Texas, South Carolina, Vermont, Georgia, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Illinois, Virginia, Massachusetts, Michigan, Ohio, all these different states, Michigan, that are represented here. And what really makes this race special every year is these drivers put their Sunday best on. They've got new bodies. They've got new fire suits sometimes, and they come out and try to make it and try to, you know, get in this race. There's Kyle Lynch in the 16. He's another guy that struggled here for a long time at Dillon Motor Speedway, at least in the New Year's Bash, but he was able to come home with the win back in 2022.
Indiana, Florida, Texas, being represented all across the U.S. for sure. There's the winner back in 2022, Kyle Lynch in the number 16 Chevrolet from Victoria, Virginia. We'll see what Kyle can do here this year.
He's 6th quick right now.
Former 3rd podium in the 2022 winner. He's a Mass Championship driver as well. And of course, there you see the other machine, the 67 car. Trying to highlight every one of these cars in some shape or form, Alan.
This is Aaron Plemons. I don't even think I mentioned his home state, Connecticut. And we've talked about he's made this race before. He's ran well in it before. Really struggled in qualifying yesterday. And they actually, as he got loose there coming out of turn 2, lost an engine on Friday. And they had somebody actually bring an engine down from Connecticut. They put it in yesterday, and looks like they got that car going a lot better.
The 21 machine out there as well.
Brian Brown.
Brian Brown, yes, sir, yeah. You know, we were talking about this, and obviously Brian Brown from Calverton, New York. I don't think we mentioned New York, man. There's
you're
another
right.
state
You're right.
Being represented, obviously. Here's the 07 from Plymouth, North Carolina. There's a name, Alan, that, you know, back in the day, East Carolina, Southern National, you remember him, Super Coupe, Mike Cooper, been racing a long time. And before the street stocks became the name they are today, stock look-alike is what it used to be. And a former champion, winner all across the Southeast. There you see him. One Achilles heel, though, is to be a prestigious winner at the New Year's Bash. And we'll see what Mike Cooper, the man from Plymouth, can do today in that Corbett Motorsports entry Chevrolet.
There's Kyle Lynch. I believe they are the only 2 cars out there. No, 3 cars. Chris Riondo's still out there as well. We remind you, 2 p.m. Eastern time, that's when our coverage will go solely to RacingAmerica.tv. Not ordered your coverage, please do so. As I said, the profits go back into this race.
Yes.
These are agreements with the promoters, and this allows the promoters to be able to put these big races on to get some pay-per-view revenue, and we appreciate it. And I know Ron Barfield appreciates all you folks that are watching around the country. So if you haven't, go to RacingAmerica.tv and order your coverage now. Getting a little bonus coverage here of this street stock practice. That's Chris Buffon in the 2-car. He had a great qualifying run here yesterday. He's up in the top 5 from Belchertown, Massachusetts. And that's the car, if you remember last year, got involved in an accident here on the front straightaway. The steering broke, and he went for a ride going down into turn 1 and actually ended up against a wrecker, literally against a wrecker.
Literally, yes, sir. There is Christopher Buffon, the man again from Belchertown, and obviously going to try all that he can. Anthony Goodyear from New River All-American Speedway, got to have New Year's dinner with him last Saturday, and he pops in at the racetrack. And of course, they coming off of that New Year's hangover race on Monday, and we'll see what the Massachusetts driver can do. And awesome to see promoters coming for this event. And of course, Alan Dietz, Racing America many times at New River All-American in Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We love going there to New River, and they've got a lot of big stuff going on over there this year. The Cars Tour, the SRL National Series.
Modifieds, return of the Modifieds.
Smart Modifieds, lots of great racing action there, and you need to check that out at New River All-American Speedway. So the red flag is out. That is going to conclude our coverage for now. But as I said, at 2 p.m. Eastern time, go to RacingAmerica.tv. You're going to get to see a full afternoon of great racing. For Wesley Outland, I'm Alan Dietz saying so long, and we'll see you back at 2 p.m. Eastern.
I'm Ty Majeski, and you're watching Racing America.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety, providing the most advanced driver safety products to NASCAR, IndyCar, sprint cars, and sports cars drivers. From grassroots to professional racers, HMS Motorsport has over 25 years' experience outfitting drivers with the best gear on the market. Equipped with first-hand product knowledge, our experts are ready to help you select the best harness belts, seats, head restraints, helmets, and racing attire for your type of racing. HMS is even the exclusive importer for Schroed belts, Schubert helmets, and Valero base layers. Visit one of our stores in Mooresville, North Carolina, or Danvers, Massachusetts, or check us online at hmsmotorsport.com, where you can learn the details of our products and order online. Safety starts here.
Be at Lakeview Motor Speedway Sunday afternoon, February 4th, for the I-95 south of the border Cash Money Showdown. See the best sportsman modifieds from the Northeast as they head south for money and glory. Late Modelton Stock V8 will also be in action for their first taste of the high banks in 2024. I-95 south of the border Cash Money Showdown, February 4th at Lakeview Motor Speedway, and it's only on Racing America.
That's gotta be the wildest ride in the world.
Perna?
Siglio.
Perna Siglio.
There you go.
That was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. You're a race car driver, without a doubt.
SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel are your all-inclusive motorsports warehouses with more than 450 product lines. They have everything to put you in victory lane, from professional racing to street performance. SRI and Stock Car Steel have you covered with leading brands as well as a large selection of steel, aluminum, and plastics. With locations in North Carolina and Indiana, access has never been easier. SRI has the world's largest inventory of used parts. SRI Performance and Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, your one-stop shops for everything racing.